All right, guys, back here on Southeastern 14 with Max Barr. We're doing our predictions for Tuesday's games in the SEC. And Max, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like this is one of those slates where let me just tell you folks right now, if you don't appreciate our SEC basketball stuff, we show up to do even slates like this that just really feel like that they are just game slates that aren't going to deliver very much excitement. Um, but hey, Max, we do these anyways. We do it for the people. We show up to talk about them, and we'll see what we can come up with trying to break down these two Tuesday games because, as I said, they are not the prettiest when it comes to your usual SEC basketball slate. But first, let's tell you about our friends at BetOnline. Continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year, up-to-minute odds, stats, and trends. You can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. So again, on the road to the tournament, of course, you can check out everything they've got over there to help you with all those stats and trends. The world's best wagering platform. You can experience it anytime from your desktop or mobile devices. So head on over to BetOnline today, become part of the team, and remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, Max, let's get this thing going. Texas A&M and Arkansas are going to play on ESPN at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Prime time.
I mean, this on paper earlier in the season, this probably looked like a great ESPN game.
Yep.
This is probably not one that I'm sure Arkansas fans are probably like, hey, we don't necessarily want us to be on ESPN right now in this kind of spotlight. But A&M, I assume Max KenPom has us around 10. Is that about right? You think?
Dead on.
Yeah. So 10 points is probably A&M's going to be favored by in this one. Where do you begin? I guess I don't know. Of course, Arkansas has had a pretty rough season, as we continue to talk about. Meanwhile, A&M coming off of just brutal back-to-back losses here in terms of how they lost. Losing at Vanderbilt was inexcusable for a team that's trying to make the NCAA tournament. Losing by 25 at Alabama, also not going to help you out very much there. If you remember, one of Arkansas's few wins, Max, on the SEC season, they're 3-9 right now, was against Texas A&M back on January 16th, so we go back a month. That was the Tremont Mark game, as it's been dubbed, where he scored 35 of Arkansas's 78 points, got to the free throw line 22 times in that game, just really did everything, put him on his back, and led them to victory. Of course, on the game winner, right? That's how it played out. And so Wade Taylor had 41 in that game too. So it's a one-on-one game, or at least half of it with those two guys. But this is kind of, honestly, Max, we always talk about like the spot, right? And this just feels like one of those clear-cut bounce-back spots for Texas A&M. Even though Arkansas played really, they played it close at Mississippi State. They had their chances to win that one, which would have probably surprised us had they won it. But I just look at this game and sort of the way the last one played out. Once again, I think you're looking at, how does Wade Taylor play here? How does Tyrese Radford play? That's always the question with Texas A&M. How many offensive rebounds are they going to get? Because that was something else I think we said in the last game. I don't know if you have it pulled up, but I'm wondering exactly how many they had in the last game against. They had 19 offensive rebounds the last time around against Arkansas. And Max, I don't know if you saw the stat. I know you were away this weekend, but did you see how many offensive rebounds Texas A&M had against Alabama?
I did not. I was out.
26. 26 offensive rebounds at Alabama. So once again, that's going to be the story here. What's your path to victory for Arkansas in this game?
I don't have one.
Clear cut. I don't have one.
Well, Listen, this is what I'm really looking at in this game. And it's two teams that are very inconsistent and they're not going to shoot the ball well. So I kind of like to just not really look at a ton of the numbers and kind of look at the previous matchup and then the spot, how they're coming off of. And you got to remember in that first game, Henry Coleman didn't play.
Yeah.
And that's just a huge piece of what they do, especially down low. And with how Arkansas is lengthy and can defensive rebound. Although Texas A&M had 19 offensive rebounds, Arkansas had 32 defensive rebounds. Like, they didn't do a terrible job on the boards last game. But there was no Henry Coleman. And also you have to remember, Arkansas was up by 20 with 6 minutes left in the first half. They were crushing Texas A&M, end up only winning by 1 on a buzzer beater, So it's like there's just those, the wheels start turning and you're like, all right, revenge game. Texas A&M, won the last 26 minutes by like 20 points. They're coming off back-to-back losses, probably the worst. Getting blown out by Alabama. It's just the spot is there, right? And it's really, I can see the bounce back coming, and I'll go with my pick here, going A&M.
I'm gonna go with A&M too. It's the spot. Like I said, it's the bounce back. This is a team that knows now. If they lose this one, like you're talking about NCAA tournament implications, you can't lose it on the road at Vanderbilt and then lose at home to Arkansas in a span of a week and feel good about your chances. Remember, because they got to go to Tennessee on Saturday, does A&M. So this would be brutal if they were to lose this game at home, and that could have effectively put them out of the NCAA tournament potentially. So, yeah, I think they've got to win this one. Must win.
Must win.
Yeah, it's a must win for the Aggies, and I think they'll bounce back and should be in a pretty good spot to do that. Because, we just don't know what we're expecting from Arkansas. It's unpredictable. I said, how would we have predicted them to go to Mississippi State and only lose by 4, right? I mean, just based on what we had seen, they just got blown out by Tennessee, and so you never know what you're getting right now with Arkansas. So give me the Aggies too on this one. All right. Ooh, boy. Missouri hosting Tennessee, and I don't like this matchup for my client, Dennis Gates here. This is just I guess the best thing you could say is Sean East is back for Missouri. If he was not back, I would shudder to think at maybe how this game could play out. But because he is back, that at least gives Missouri a little bit of something to work with here. But I mean, statistically, Max, we always say it's like you try to find any path for a team. I legitimately do not even know where you would start for Missouri right now to try to find that path against Tennessee because, as we said, Tennessee is still what they are defensively. We know how good they can be offensively. Missouri struggles offensively, struggles defensively. I mean, I guess they still can turn some people over, with the way they play defense. Like, that's something that'll always be a theme, I think, with Dennis Gates. But otherwise, I really don't even know where to start. Like, Missouri's going to have to play their best game of the season. Tennessee's going to have an offensive performance, the likes of which that they had against the South Carolina or a Texas A&M. But the problem is Missouri does not defend the way those two teams can defend at times. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm curious what you think the number is going to be on this. I know KenPom has it at 14, but I'm curious if you think like that thing is just going to balloon up like quickly, like go from like 14 to 17. Like, I mean, because this is one where, look, this could get out of hand. There's no question. Tennessee just beat Arkansas by 29. They just beat Vanderbilt by 35. Now they're playing the team that's ranked at the bottom and still has not won an SEC game. So I'm curious what you think the most accurate number could be for a game like this.
Yeah, coming from a betting standpoint, I think we could see something similar to how when South Carolina played at Auburn and the line was out like near 11 or 10, I think it was. And it's like, why is that line so high when these teams are both ranked top 15? But then when you look at Auburn's home schedule up to that point, they had beaten every home team by like double digits. And you start to realize like, okay, now I understand why the line is that way. When you look at this type of game, I think it's going to balloon way up because from a betting standpoint, if you look at Tennessee's games against teams outside the top 100 of KenPom, they've played 8 of them, okay? And the closest game was at Vanderbilt. They won by 13. That was the closest game Tennessee has played of a sub-100 team. And now they're getting Missouri at 143 in KenPom and have not won an SEC game. And now they're coming off of a bit of a heartbreaker, probably the biggest heartbreaker in a few weeks for Missouri after they won by 10. It's just the emotional letdown. I think this thing could really get out of hand here with how Tennessee beats up on these kind of less physical, lower ranked teams. It could get ugly.
I think we're both picking Tennessee in this one, but I will just say, boy, it is wild to think how much things have changed since the last time these two teams played March 10th last year in the SEC tournament,
Man,
what was it,
yeah.
quarterfinals. Missouri beats Tennessee last year, 79-71. And yeah, it is remarkable to think just how things have changed. Because again, we said it's just the room for error in this league. There is none at this point. And unfortunately for Missouri, they've had all the issues. It's a snake bitten season, as I've said, for them with injuries and just coming up short and not being able to get over that hump. But it's going to be hard to do that here against this one. And I mean, what else do we add? These are two teams that have been on the opposite end of the SEC standings all year, and don't know that it'll change after this game. Even for we say top 10 team on the road, always perk your ears up a little bit, but I just don't. Missouri just doesn't have the depth or to this point. But you know what, Max? Also, maybe this is what it's all been about, is waiting for this game. Maybe it's all been bottled up for the Tigers to say, all right, this is the game. We're going to go out and prove that we're going to win a game. And of course, if it's the SEC, if they're like, it'd be the most SEC thing ever if Missouri's first win of the conference season comes against Tennessee.
It would be 2022 Georgia all over again.
There you go. So there is precedent.
Only win against Alabama at home.
There is precedent. So
the SEC does crazy things.
Going to be tough.
Yeah.
Give me the Vols in this one. All right, there you go. Like we said, that's it. Like that's the Tuesday slate, and it's just one where, it's not the greatest in terms of like just the matchups, but the SEC always entertaining. I'm sure these will be entertaining games for different reasons, perhaps, but we'll talk about them here on Southeastern 14. Hit that subscribe button. Check out everything else we've already done this week, power rankings, all that stuff. We'll have bracketology. We'll have previews for the other games on Wednesday. And, of course, we'll talk more about the big weekend games coming up. Also, SEC baseball, football stuff. You can find it here, too. But we appreciate you guys watching, as always. We'll talk to you again here soon at Southeastern 14.